right, let's begin this conversation today, commemorating International Women's Day. And we'll start the conversation taking our quote from Maya Angelou, who once said, "Each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it is possible, without claiming it, she stands up for all women." And I agree with that one, absolutely spot on. My next quote is from Shirley Chisholm, who once said, "If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair." That's me saying thumbs up. I love that one too. All right, my next one is from Beyonce Knowles, who once said, "I want to show that you can have fun and have purpose, but respectful and speak your mind. You can be both elegant and a provocateur. You can be curvy and still be a fashion icon. I wish this freedom for every person." I agree with that one too. My next one is from Adrian Rich, who once said, "The connection between and among women are the most feared, the most problematic, and the most potentially transforming force on the planet." That said, my last quote will be from Joe Biden, who once said, "I understand a woman's need to have something for herself." Absolutely spot on. Don't you just love this quote? Very well, greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Of course, I am ANNABEL ORJI. Today is International Women's Day, or rather, it was International Women's Day yesterday. That's Friday, the 8th of March, 2024. But then you should just know that this month, it is Women's Month. You keep hearing Mother's Sunday, Mother's Day, Wife's Day, Girls' Day. Please don't get tired because we are all up in your faces this month. All right, so that said, and that's wishing every woman and every girl everywhere you find yourself, in every part of the world, Nigeria, in Somalia, in Niger, in every part of the country or the world, happy International Women's Day. And we are all for women. So I always say, I am all for a woman. Any gathering I sit and you are saying anything wrong about a woman, I will come after you with everything that I've got. I'm not alone on the show today. My guest on the show is architect Agathachristie Irabor. She is an architect and she is one woman who is thriving in a man's world. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here.
Thank you. You're welcome. You don't even look like someone who is an architect or someone who is working. We used to say architect work is like pom work, like very serious. You're carrying bricks, you're carrying iron, but you don't even look it at all.
Yeah, it is actually a very, it's all of that and then more. You know, an architect's job actually starts from the conception of the design. It's an intellectual thing. And then, you know, such intellectual imaginations now comes into reality in what we see.
Yeah.
The architect is the builder of our cities. You know, the conceptions, the ideas, you know, in tandem with what the client, if you may, wants, is what you see around our cities around the world.
That makes me to say she has one of the most beautiful structures. There's this one that I'm always staring at. Anytime I'm passing, I'm leaving my office. It's just right in front of opposite us. Anytime I just see that, I say, "Oh, architect Agatha, that is her work. It's so beautiful." Great to have you on the show again. And happy International Women's Day to you.
Same to you, dear.
Happy, let us prepare people with this sign. Happy International Day.
Same to you, dear.
Great.
Happy Women's Day to all women around the world.
All right, now that said, let's talk about first. Why are we always talking about women? Because I hear so many people, men, even women, sometimes will tell you, once it is March like this, just be ready to hear Women's Day, Girls' Day, Mother's Sunday, Wife's Day. It's all about girls, and it's not. You don't get to hear so much about men. So why do we always have to come back to this roundtable, especially in March, to talk about or to celebrate and honor women?
Yeah, I think traditionally our world is I would say is a man's world, and the women have had to fight for what has come to them. You know, prior to the generation we are in now, women couldn't even vote. They couldn't, you know, vote, and they couldn't have their say in so many aspects of human endeavor. Before now, women couldn't even be doctors, couldn't be lawyers, couldn't be architects.
They're not allowed to dream.
Yes, you dream, whatever you have remains with you.
Yeah.
So we were looked at as people who would marry and then take care of our children and be quiet at home. So this has had to change. During the turn of the century, that's the 20th century, a group of women in Europe, in Northern America, began to fight for the rights of women. And it is that fight that has actually made the International Women's Day and then the month of March to be for women the way we find it today. So it's an idea that started with women thinking that there should be more to who we are.
Okay.
We are human beings who have quite a lot to offer to humanity. And it's not just having children. And having children is important, but it isn't just about having children, but also about raising those children well, contributing to both economic and political endeavors in environments where we find ourselves. So that's where we are today. When we talk about Women's Day celebration, it's all simply about celebrating women, over time, who they are, what they have done, what they have contributed to society over time. At the beginning of the show, you mentioned quite a number of women who are actually my role models, and while you were giving their quotes, I just was smiling and and all of that. Those are women who have actually didn't have it easy.
Yeah, right.
We hear about them now, we celebrate them. We, just generally call them to bear in situations we find ourselves now. But when you go into the research of how their lives was over time, you realize that they had to fight for who they were. For those who are still living and those who are passed on, you realize that over the years, it was a struggle all through, to be able to rise above those challenges that were around them, to be able to rise to the level where they were able to influence people around the world. And that fight, I think, is still there up till this moment. And I know you, even as a reporter and a newswoman in this TV station, I'm pretty sure if I were to be on the other side of the table interviewing you on your own will be able to tell me that there are 7 aspects of challenges that you find in your work environment. But that shouldn't stop anyone. As a woman, you must rise up, you must know who you are, and then push yourself, learn. It's a continuous thing.
Okay.
You can't just say you have reached a certain level and you leave it at that. No. Continue. So
there's no place for self-actualization. I've been there, I'm done, and this is the peak I can do.
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Never. Learning, I would say, is a continuous thing. And because it is a continuous thing, as a woman, take for instance, I'll give a very simple analogy. As a young girl, you have to learn to be able to stand in, amongst your peers, whether they are women or they are girls or they are boys. You have to, rise up to the occasion, academically and otherwise. And then when you are older and you have gotten to the stage of going into a kind of profession, whatever profession you decide to go into, you also have to work and rise above that. So at any level, you'll be at your best. If you're a mother, the same thing. If you're a wife, the same thing. You're a sister, and all of that. It's also the same thing. And this continues. Your job, even after retirement, you find out that even after retirement, you are actually a role model to a whole lot of people.
True.
So that work actually continues.
Okay.
When your children grow and you have grandchildren, you know, and all of that, the work actually still continues. And of course, as women, we find ourselves, you know, not just mentoring and training our own biological children. You realize that over time, you are thrown in situations where you're mentoring and you're, you know, working with other people who aren't even your children, you know, and the work continues. It's not, I mean, the work of a woman continues till the time the Almighty calls you.
Most women have faced, and even let's bring it back home here to Nigeria, where you have most families that would ask you when a woman gives birth, the first question they ask you, is it a boy or a girl? And then there's this light you have in people's faces when it's a boy, but there's this girl again that people have. And even though we've been able to have families or fathers who have been able to say, yes, my girls, they're my girls, and everything I do I will do for a boy or my boy child, I will do it for the girl also. So we have people who would be suffering that in their family and say, my husband or my family will just have only girls, and then those girls, they always suffer that ripple effect. They're always at the receiving end. They tell you that, oh, I'm not getting what my brothers are getting, or because I'm a girl. So if you find for those people who are watching us right now who are in that shoe, we'd like you to speak to them, to those ones who would, even not only to the girls, but also to the parents, especially to those fathers or uncles or traditional leaders that would say that, why are you just giving birth to girls? Don't you have boys in your stomach? And just tell them, let's understand the importance of girls, how they are also, just like you have the male child.
Yeah, thank you, Annabelle. That's a very, very, very good question. You see, we've been talking about the importance of the girl child, the woman, you know, and all of that. And also, I want to use this opportunity to impress on the fact that training of a girl child, it's very, very important. You know, most times women go through all manner of problems because they really are not aware, and they are living their lives away from the position of knowledge, right? I'm not a medical doctor, I'm an architect, but this information is something that is clearly, I mean, you can find it out, Google it, you know, and all of that. But I had known this since I was in secondary school when I was studying biology. The female, as we are, our genes are made in such a way that we are YY. There is no, you know, unless the Almighty changes it. But the way we are created, the genes we have can only produce females. So it is the man who has an XY that can actually fertilize the eggs we have to be able to produce a male child. So any family you find yourself, well, I stand to be corrected. Maybe there are new innovations and technology that has come in. But the biology I know is that it is only the man who can actually fertilize the woman's egg to be able to produce a male child. So if a family finds itself having just females, you know, and all of that, it really isn't the fault of the woman. It isn't. You know, and having said that, I will encourage those listening to, you know, when you have female children, train them. Expose them to all the areas of human endeavors that they want to be exposed to. You know, because when you have girls, women who are exposed and they find themselves in this kind of situation, supposing a husband who doesn't know anything about this, you can, you know,
educate
them. And family members, you know, like those of us who are Africans, you can also educate your extended family, you know, as in your husband extended family, that this is really not my problem. having female children, it's really not my fault. If you are so interested in having me producing a male child for the family, you may have to pray harder for your brother or your cousin or whoever, your son, to be able to do right, you know. But otherwise, this is what it is. And you know, when you have women who are exposed and educated, issues like this will really not matter to them. Okay, I mean, take for instance, I come from a similar family. My mother had 3 of us girls.
Okay.
My older sister is an accountant. I'm an architect. My younger sister is a lawyer. And my only brother, I have just one brother. So we were, you know, there wasn't that distinction to say, oh, because these were female children, you know, and all of that. We received everything that, you know, a male child would have received to be able to enable us reach where we are now in life, you know. And we are all doing well in our various chosen fields of endeavor. We are all married by God's grace, and we have children. So in essence, what am I saying? If you educate a girl child, and a girl child grows into a woman in the society and is very aware of what's, you know, knows who she is as a woman and takes pride in who she is as a woman, the children she's going to bring into the world, whether they are males or females, will have respect for a woman. They will have respect for a girl child. So when they go further to, you know, reproduce, when they go further to, you know, go into the society to become men or women, they'll be able to understand that the woman, the girl child, and the woman is actually the same with the male child. Now, I'll give you a little story. It's something close to me. I have a very good friend who's, and bless his soul, her father was a professor. They had just 2 girls, and he loved those children. The first child, who is my own personal friend, she's an architect too.
Okay.
You know, he loved those children till his dying day.
Oh wow.
They were just 2. They were both born in the US, but came back to, you know, to Nigeria, and he lived all his life as an academic in the Nigerian environment, you know, and raised those girls also in that light. And you know, you would never, you know, hear him once say, oh, if I had a male child, or if I have this, you know. And he raised those girls very well. And you know, I bless him for that. And I also bless men who find themselves in such situations. I also have a good friend who, he's an architect too, has 3 girls. And he loves his girls, you know, and gives them all the best, you know. Every area where they are supposed to flourish, he's putting them through, you know, just generally putting them through. And I know those girls who grow to become great women in the society and contribute their own quota. So in essence, however you find yourself, if you find yourself having all female children, or even the male children, really, it doesn't matter. Children are children. And
they're all blessings.
Children are all gifts from God. You know, so it is how we treat them. That's how our society will be, right? You know, if you have a girl child and just leave that child that way, at the end of the day, you have an ignorant society. And we all know what an ignorant society is. It's a cost to any society. A society that does not know where it's going, where it's coming from, where it is at. It's a problem.
Okay.
So training a woman, raising up a woman properly, it's actually for the best interest of society.
Okay, so you've actually talked on about the parents, but how about that girl or those girls who are being raised in such family environment, and they tell you, because I've seen like countless of them who I've actually had to talk to, and then they tell you that, oh, I get this feeling because I'm a girl. That's the feeling they get from the home. That's the kind of training that they give them. So when they find themselves in such situation, how should they deal?
Yeah, if you find yourself in a situation where maybe you're even being bullied within the family circle, I think you should rise above that. I'm sitting here. It wasn't. Yes, I had a mother, a great mother, who went out of her way. My mother was the only child, the only girl amongst 6 males.
Oh wow!
Yes, she was the only girl, and her parents, passed at an early age. She didn't really know them, but my mom rose to the peak of her career.
Okay.
My mom was a nurse. She rose to the peak of her career to a directorate place in her career, before she retired. And she, what she always used to say was, you can always be anything you want to be as a girl child. And she pursued that in life and did so many things. Anyone who is listening to me now and who knows me and probably knows my late mom will know that she was a go-getter. And I want to talk to young ladies listening to me, girl children listening to me right now. The ball is actually in your court. You have to be who you want to be. If you decide to be whatever you want to be in life, it is left for you. There's nobody who will do it for you. You have to raise up yourself, set aside all the prejudices and all of that you find, whether it's within your home, in your immediate environment, in school, wherever you find yourself. Put a target to your life. Set goals for yourself. Short-term goals, medium-term goals, long-term goals. And when you are hard at it, you will achieve them.
Most definitely. All right, before we leave that particular part, let's also speak to those people who have that mentality. I feel like it's mostly in Africa that we have that mentality of, when you give birth to a girl, after all, she's just going to go and get married, and then that's the that's the end of your name. The name is no longer there. So does that still exist? And how can we actually deal with it? Not just from the parents, but also the traditional level. How can we deal with that mindset? Because now if we bring it back, you also talk about inheritance rights. You see that we've been fighting for inheritance rights. I read this particular story that says for over 10 years, there's this group that have been fighting to get inheritance rights, but they've not been able to, even up until now. So a father dies and the wife has to go through unfair widowhood practices, shaving of her hair and all of that, and then the children, if it happens that it is just only girls, now that is even the worst of it. You just have families who will come and sweep everything away and then say after it is just girls, and then they don't have anything because they will just get married and that's the end of it. I heard somebody say something about same thing with Herbert Wigwe, and then someone immediately bashed it and said, oh please, Herbert was not that kind of person. Then someone said it depends on what you as a father laid aside. Let's talk about this also.
Yeah, thank you very much, Annabelle. You see, some of these things are, as I said before, it's all about a training. And the beauty of it is over time, even in Nigeria and Africa generally, because of the strides that women have made over time, certain cultures have also been eradicated. It's good to have culture. It's good to have retain our culture and traditions. I'm all for cultural traditions because that's who we are really. But there are certain cultures and traditions that are actually detrimental to humans. And the beauty of it is that most of these things are being, some have actually been eradicated. You talk about female genital mutilation. You talk about maltreatment of widows in certain societies. We hear of stories where when women lose their husbands, they are relegated to certain huts in the village. And each morning, they are thrown ashes and all of that on their bodies just to show that they are mourning their husbands and all of that. I've heard of such cultures in the old times. But I don't think such things are still happening today. I may be wrong.
But yes, they do.
Yes, you know, so, but in all honesty, if we are able to, you know, as women, rally around ourselves and agree on certain things, you know, in our society, we'll be able to change that. Agree that sometimes some of these cultures, the people who you know, push them forward are women themselves.
Okay,
Yes.
I was going to say
yes,
that too.
Some of these cultures are women themselves. You know, they'll tell you, no,
They'll feel it.
yes, this is our culture. We wouldn't want to leave it, set it aside, you know, and all of that. But even at that, it happens sometimes you're strong with this, and then it happens to your daughter. Then you now realize that it's not just about retaining culture that is detrimental to the human, to the girl, to the woman. You know, it's about being as humane as one can be.
Okay.
You know, so it all boils down, Annabelle, to education.
Education.
Education. You know, you educate the women. You form women group. Now, from where I come from, you know, you have all manner of women's group now. And in those women group, you have people who have though they are not in the village, but they form part of the team.
Okay.
You know, as women from that particular society. And they know, they have been, you know, exposed to learning, you know, things that are different from what the culture is. And they know that some of these cultures are detrimental. So most times, women who have had that education to know that this is wrong, you can separate the child from the real, you know, can now transfer such knowledge to the women who have actually not had such opportunities, you know, to be able to rise up to the occasion. So I will encourage that for every society we find ourselves, we should, you know, gather ourselves as women.
Okay.
In our macro economies, macro, you know, environments, gather ourselves as women. Talk to ourselves as women. Move along as women, because the issues that affect women, they are completely different from issues that affect men. And that's the truth. And it is only when we come together as women. You know, Annabelle, if I'm trying to push an idea out, as I am, I can only talk and talk and talk and talk. But when you join me in it, and other women all around in different spheres of the, you know, human endeavor join, our voices will be louder. Yes, our voices will be louder, and, you know, many things can happen.
All right.
I'll give you an example. Like I was once the secretary of the Female Architects of Nigeria. And during that time, you know, trying to get other female architects to be part of the association. Some will tell you, nah, I don't believe in having a different arm of the Architects Association. You know, like the main architectural association we have in Nigeria is the Nigerian Institutes of Architects, right? So some of them will say, nah, as a woman, of course, during our training, we are told we are all gentlemen in the field of architecture. There isn't a woman or a man. There's no differentiation. It's either you're an architect or you're not. But the truth of the matter is this. As women in the field of architecture, we have our peculiar problems.
True.
We have our peculiar problems. You can't rule the fact that, yes, you are an architect and you are up to the task like the next architect who is a male. But you face different challenges. And that's the truth. You face different challenges because while you are rising as a young graduate architect to an associate and a full member of the institute, and then you're doing your practice wherever you find yourself, whether you are in the academia in the public service, in private sector, you know, and all of that, you realize that you, as a woman, are, for instance, trying to raise a young family. You're raising children. You have a 1-year-old at home, and maybe another 2 or 5 years at home. And you are in an office where your mind is on those children. How are they faring? If you have a nanny somewhere, how is the nanny treating them? How have they eaten? Have they come back from school?
You're thinking of your husband also.
You're thinking of your husband.
Family.
Exactly, because if you fail as a woman, taking care of your children, even taking care of your family and your husband, nobody is going to say she was struggling to be an architect, or she was struggling to be a good doctor, or a good lawyer, or a good newswoman, you know, and all of that. They'll simply say you have failed. You understand? So we have our peculiar challenges. Right. And those challenges are what should make us as women come together and, you know, reason out on how best we can rule our world, and then be who we really want to be.
All right, because you talked about women coming together to become a force to reckon with. We'll start with that. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation with Agathachristie Irabor. See you after this time out. Join us again.
You know, I mean, in life, there are failures and there are successes. So, and the successes and failures, if you put them on a scale of you know, you put them on a scale, you realize that the failures are usually even more. Most times you can fail at 19 things. It's the 20th that will push you up, that everybody will know who you have been. So when you begin to tell your stories, people won't even understand where you're coming from, because they will be wondering, is it really true? Is it really true? So in essence, what I'm saying is that as a woman, be confident in yourself. You know, when you see opportunities, take it. I once read somewhere where someone gave an advice, a very an international human resource person said, if you look at a job description and there are 5 ticks, and you have been able to tick on even one, apply for the job. You can learn before that time and then learn on the job, because it is your ability to learn on the job, to even deliver, that makes you
an experienced person.
Yes, an experienced person, because there are people who are experienced. You put them on the job, they'll give you a lot of help because they feel they know everything. But those who really want to learn and want to do the job can actually do the job better than those who are really experienced in most cases.
All right. Even as we begin to round up, 2 questions, and I'd like you to unbundle them in one breath. Now, the first is, how do we begin to deal? Because I remember sitting in a gathering where you have men, about 5 of them, and then one started becoming very lousy and talking about what he does to women and all of that, and how he treats women and his girlfriends. And I got furious. In fact, my skin was beginning to crawl at that moment. But you have some women who will still sit on that table, and immediately I just told him, no, you don't talk that to women. But you have some women who will still sit on that table, and they'll even lend the voice to itself and then add more foil to it and say, oh, it is she's just being loose and all of that. So I'd like you to speak to such people, especially such women, when you're in such gathering. What should you do when you hear people lambasting or talking about one woman or the other? You don't need to even know the person self, the woman they're talking about. But as long as you are talking about my person, my gender, I'm not going to allow this happen. Absolutely. That's one on the side. And then second, we would like you to, in commemoration of International Women's Day, they would like you to speak to women and to girls, wherever they are, that they can dare to dream and even achieve that dream, just as you're doing.
Yeah, thank you, Annabelle. As a woman, if you find yourself in a position where, or an environment where people are talking down on women and all of that, the best you can do is speak up your mind, you know, and you know, explain why that shouldn't be so. Because if you're a man, you were actually born by a woman. If you're a man, you were actually raised by a woman. If you're a man, you probably have sisters, cousins who are women.
Or maybe wife.
Wives, aunties, you know, and all of that. How do you treat them? You know, you, at every point as a woman you find yourself, it is your duty. Don't laugh about any such jokes, you know, or comments regarding women. It is your right as a woman to be able to put, you know, set the table straight with some of such conversations, you know, and all of that. And this is the reason why I talk about education, education, education. You'll be surprised. Some people may not have had that kind of opportunity of living in an environment where there's respect for women and the girl child. So you find them in the later society, that, you know, when they grow into the larger society, they begin to treat women like that. And I also want to advise women, if you find yourself in such a situation, please disengage yourself. I, for one, can never advise anyone if you are in an abusive relationship, whether you're a wife, a girlfriend, a friend, and all of that. I draw a line when it comes to abuse, whether it's physical abuse or whether it's mental abuse, because, you know, physical abuse are things people can see, you know, and all of that. Sometimes mental abuse is so bad that you can just die without anybody even diagnosing what is wrong with you. So have pride in yourself as a woman, and you know, be able to make up your mind and take up that decision that whatever it is, you can, you know, you can live and thrive away from that kind of toxic environment.
Right.
That's my advice to women. And then on to the second question. I don't know if I've answered the first question very fully, but on to the second question. I would like to say to women listening to me today, you know, rise up above where you find yourself. Set goals for yourself. Set goals. If you're a girl in primary school, in secondary school, the university, listening to me right now, set goals for yourself that so and so I'll be able to achieve. And if you find yourself going further in life, that certain relationships, certain gatherings and all of that are dwindling your goals, you know, achieving those goals, remove yourself from such an environment.
That's definitely.
Because that's the only way you can achieve your goals. If you allow yourself, you know, be in a situation where you can't actually move forward, you know, you are down there, there is absolutely nothing anybody can do. You're being who you are. It's you that can produce that. Nobody will do it. Your father will not do it. Your mother will not do it. Your brother, your sister, and all of that will not do it. It is left to you. Your husband, as it were, will not do it. You must have to set a goal. And if there's a need for you, you know, to have conversations with people around you who would actually, you know, like push you through, do that all the time.
All right.
And surround yourself with family members and family who actually see what you want to be, and family and friends who can actually help you to achieve such goals in life.
All right, thank you so much. Before we let you go, there's this statement from the Minister of Women Affairs, Barrister Ohanehe, where she stated that women should learn to keep short when their husbands are screaming or shouting or there's an argument, because if they don't keep quiet, that's the reason why they're being beaten and then they begin to lose their life. And that has actually created quite a number of reaction on social media and off social media. So do you agree with the fact that when my husband is shouting, he is screaming about something, I should just keep quiet, and when he's done, we settle?
Yeah, Annabelle, in life, there's always time to shout, and there's time to be quiet. That's the truth. As a woman, you must learn to know when to shout, when to be quiet, and when to just walk away.
Okay.
I mean, there's no... I've been married for 25 years, and I can rightly tell you that it's not an easy journey, you know, for you to live with someone for 25 years. And for those listening to me, there are times you're quiet. Whatever it is, you just go into yourself. It's worked for me over the years. And there is nothing, even right now, with my first son is 20, almost 26 years in marriage now. Okay. My first son is 25, and the second one is 21. My second son is 21. And when things like this happen and they want to, I just say, I need the peace. I need the quiet. I will encourage women, yes, be quiet about it, you know, and, you know, always find a time. As a woman, what God has given us inbuilt is that you are able to tell when your man is, you can speak to your man, whether it's your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your brother, or your father. That has been inbuilt in. If we listen to ourselves, there are times, you know, when you can talk and they will listen very well. Oh. And you know when they say women from the area I come from, they say women, they say they're afraid of women from that part of the country because of what and what. But that's not the reason. The reason is that you are trained from an early age to be able to, you know, understand how you deal with men. There are ways where you can handle men, and these issues will never happen. All right. You know, so I encourage women to, you know, learn when to be quiet. Learn when to speak up. And speaking up, you must. I don't encourage women to be quiet and then you are treated like a second-class citizen in your home or in the environment you find yourself. No, that right. I can never accept, because on my own, I never accept that. But you should know when to be quiet. You should know when to speak up, and you should know when to walk away. Walk away. Yeah. That's a very fine place to leave the conversation. Know when to speak up, to be quiet, or when to walk away. Agathachristie Irabor, architect. It's been a wonderful time having this talk with you. Thank you very much. And thank you so much. Happy International Women's Day to you. Same to you, dear. All right. Thank you so much, viewers. We've been chatting with Agathachristie Irabor, who is an architect. And remember the last word that she said: learn and know when to be quiet, learn to know or when to walk away, or when to speak up. And that's where we'll end it for today. Wherever you are, remember what she stated with regards to when they are bashing or insulting women. Please don't allow that. Know when to draw the line. Don't allow anyone speak against any woman, even if it's a man. Don't allow anyone speak against anyone at all. Know when to speak up and tell them, oh, please, what you are doing is it's all shades of wrong and I will not accept it. Absolutely. And then she also talked about working with people with like minds. I remember the quote that says, when you want to go fast, go alone. But when you want to go far, then you go with people. But I would remind you, please go with people with like minds. Go with people who believe in what you believe in, and then they are ready to push for that. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful time here on The Conversation. Like I told you earlier this morning on the press, that women, we love to hear very good things. So say something good to that woman sitting or standing beside you, be it in the market, in the school, at church, in the mosque, or at home. Just give her a virtual hug, give her a physical hug or a kiss, and tell her you are absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. My name is ANNABEL ORJI. Happy International Day to every woman everywhere in the world. Good morning.